Trump Jr. testified in his father's civil fraud trial, and based on this courtroom sketch, I feel like it didn't go great. He's supposed to be talking about real estate, but he looks like he's on Law and Order saying, "That girl came on to me." And unlike the other packed courtroom days, only 4 people showed up, and Donald Trump Sr. was not present, which is just like all of Don Jr.'s childhood birthday parties.
The Los Angeles Dodgers have signed two-way superstar Shohei Ohtani to a 10-year contract worth $700 million, which is almost as much as his sister on OnlyFans, Shofeet Ohtani. I thought that was a real smart joke. McDonald's has announced a new spin-off restaurant called Cosmix. It's exactly like regular McDonald's, except that at Cosmix, the mascot is, oh no, Cosby McDonald? The oldest living person in the United States died this week at the age of 115. It's a powerful reminder to always test your cocaine for fentanyl.
This Sunday is the New York City Marathon. The marathon is a great chance for foreigners to practice running for their lives. Announced that their new Lord of the Rings TV series will be called Rings of Power, though I'm personally more excited for the spin-off Gollum in Paris. Well,
The record for the world's oldest dog has been broken by a 21-year-old Chihuahua named Timothy Chalamet.
President Obama this week signed a series of new executive orders intended to strengthen equal pay laws for women. Those who support the measure say that it's a step forward for women in the workplace, while those who oppose it can be seen Sunday nights on AMC. It was announced.
An NBC News reporter accidentally got a butt-down voicemail from Rudy Giuliani in which he talks about overseas deals, Joe Biden, and then asked for a few $100,000. Man, what the hell happened to Rudy Giuliani? I'm a New Yorker. I remember Giuliani coming out on TV during 9/11, so calm and measured, and he told us not to worry. And now I watch him on TV, and I'm like, wait, did this guy even understand what was going on then? Or was he like Forrest Gump in Vietnam? During his acceptance speech, Will Smith said, "Love will make you do crazy things." You know what else makes you do crazy things? Crazy. But I understand where Will's coming from. I mean, you can't expect him to sit there and watch another man jump all over his wife without signing an NDA. No way of knowing what he said.
the CEO of Boeing announced that he's stepping down in the wake of the company's ongoing safety issues. And on his way out, he held up a bunch of nuts and bolts and said, "Good luck figuring out where these were supposed to go."
An attorney for Diddy said that his client wants to testify at his trial, saying, "I don't know that I can keep him off the stand," because you can't hold a guy back wearing all that baby oil.
Donald Trump posted an image of Nikki Haley made up to look like Hillary Clinton. And honestly, I couldn't tell if it was bad Photoshop or a good picture of Mark Cuban in a wig. Leto climbed to the top of the Empire State Building to promote his band 30 Seconds to Mars. The way the promotion works is if we buy enough albums, he'll jump.
Yeah.
A man in Canada stole an $8,000 guitar by hiding it in his pants. Police caught the man when he got an erection, and it sounded like this. This week in court, Stormy Daniels gave a detailed description of sex with Donald Trump, which was so disgusting even the sky turned green. Stormy Daniels, Colorado, broke into a truck and stole a box of human heads. Even more disturbing, it was an Arby's truck.
We have the human heads.
Officials at Harvard announced that school president Dr. Claudine Gay will keep her job after she apologized for her poorly received congressional testimony in which she seemed to downplay campus anti-Semitism. In her heartfelt statement, Gay said, quote, "Did I do that?"
Keep telling your grandfather I'm not his nurse. Newly confirmed Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, or as I've been calling her, Belle Biv DeVos, was blocked from entering a school by protesters. You know, I can't remember this many people freaking out over cabinet positions. My white friend asked me, can you believe they're putting Ben Carson in charge of the projects? And I was like, there's somebody in charge of the project? Since when? Who the hell is he replacing? The Crips?
Louisiana police arrested a man for shooting his 18-year-old son during an argument over orange juice. It's considered the second worst crime that OJ is responsible for.
McDonald's announced a new Oreo Shamrock Shake. Coincidentally, Oreo Shamrock is also what Colin calls Obama.
A new survey lists the best city to live in the country as Boise, Idaho, while the worst city was once again Rat Orgy, Delaware.
A California company has created a new marijuana-based vaginal suppository to help women suffering from menstrual pain. And ladies, if you're lucky, it might give your boyfriend the munchies.
Taco Bell is selling a strawberry Skittles Freeze made with Skittles candy. You know, Mexican food. Just like mi abuela used to make. In Florida after she stole 4 watches and hid them inside her vagina. Officials became suspicious when the woman took a licking but kept on ticking. A new study lists the best city in the U.S. to raise a family as Moscow, Idaho, while the worst is once again Handsy Uncle, Maryland.
I know that place. According to reports, Kim Jong-un has not been seen in public for over a month after injuring his ankles. And not, as I had hoped, because he's traveling around the world in Dennis Rodman's backpack.
Golf Digest magazine has created a controversy over a new cover featuring 20-year-old golfer Lexi Thompson posing with only a towel covering her breasts. But before you call them sexist, they did the same thing last month with Arnold Palmer. Military officials have announced that they will increase missions to train, advise, and assist troops in the African nation of Niger. The focus on Niger is viewed as a direct challenge to President Trump's autocorrect.
A gay couple in Wisconsin says their landlord has threatened to evict them if they don't take down their gay pride flag. And it is truly shocking to me that in 2019, there are still gay people who haven't left Wisconsin.
A man in New York State was trapped inside his car for 10 hours overnight when a plow covered his car in 4 feet of snow. Even more amazing, his wife believed that story.
A candy store in Los Angeles has created a 440-pound peanut butter cup. It's called CeeLo.
And now owners of the Brooklyn bowling alley where the New York doctor with Ebola visited are having the entire facility professionally cleaned, thus making it no longer technically a bowling alley.
A housing developer in Arizona has created new apartments costing $1,000 a month that are made out of shipping containers. It's all part of his plan to trick Mexicans.
Peloton's being called sexist for a new ad showing a wife obsessively using a Peloton bike that her husband gave her. But at least they decided against using the slogan, Peloton, you better keep it tighter than the babysitter. Colombian veterinarian has been charged with allegedly smuggling heroin inside of puppies. This according to the very dark sequel to The Secret Life of Pets.
In an effort to draw attention to National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Minnesota, more than 10,000 bras were hooked together and hung from a crane. Well, I do not want to know how Minnesota celebrates Black History Month.
Scientists are working to develop advanced ultra-black materials that are so dark they absorb 99% of all light. Oh, sure, but when I try to develop ultra-black material, I'm booed at the Apollo.
The annual New York City taxi calendar has been released featuring pictures of topless cab drivers, while a calendar of Uber drivers is available on the sex offender registry. First Lady Melania Trump, or as I've been calling her, sexy-ass Michael Jackson, launched a campaign to stop cyberbullying called Be Best, as in, it would be best if you got a divorce.
Krispy Kreme is marking the landing of the rover on Mars by offering a limited edition donut modeled after Mars. It's different from their usual donut, which is modeled after Uranus. Many conservatives in Texas are falsely blaming the state's power outages on renewable energy sources, while other conservatives think that the power outages are more likely the result of gay marriage.
A nail salon in Queens called Isis Nails has finally changed its name after suffering harassment from locals who thought the store was connected to the terrorist group. Though I don't know how much better things will be with their new name, Nail-Qaeda.
I'm worried about this one now. An auction of Nazi memorabilia was held, which featured items such as Hitler's top hat and Eva Braun's dress. And it's tough to auction off Nazi memorabilia because everyone always looks like they're bidding. Thank you.
A 2-year-old in South Carolina found a revolver in the car and ended up shooting his grandmother in the back, like a coward. Which, by the way, this would have never happened if the grandmother also had a gun.
Republicans also released their tax plan this week, which explains why Paul Ryan's been rock hard since Thursday.
A man in Arizona is claiming that he can relieve sinus pressure in his nose by masturbating. He first made the claim while police were removing him from the bus.
Or this actual headline I read today, disabled chicken who survived weasel attack learning to walk thanks to custom wheelchair. Guys, just eat the chicken. The World Health Organization is changing the name of monkeypox to Mpox due to concerns that the original could be considered racist, which I didn't even really think was an issue, but now I'm just wondering, what's the N in N95?
Pennsylvania police arrested a one-armed woman who was trying to rob a bank. Police say the hardest part was figuring out how to handcuff her. Now that's just... No, you can't say that. An Apple factory in China is expected to cut production of iPhones by 6 million in response to ongoing worker protests. The workers' main demand is more playtime.
A church in Massachusetts has created a nativity scene that comments on the immigration debate by placing the baby Jesus in a cage, where he belongs. Warner Brothers is producing a new movie in which Superman is black. And a black Superman actually makes a lot of sense when you remember that Superman was abandoned by his parents as a baby. An obese monkey in Thailand named Godzilla has been sent to a special facility to lose weight. Officials realized the monkey was overweight when a bunch of black guys kept hitting on it.
Pretty racist, Colin. After this year's election, a record-setting 12 states will have female governors, while the other 38 states will have dinner ready on time.
I want to switch it up a little. Che didn't write this one. This is all me.
I'd like to hear this.
Last week was National Rosa Parks Day, or as we call it in my house, Uppity Bus Passenger Day. The makers of Barbie have introduced the first ever Barbie with hearing aids. It teaches an important lesson. It doesn't matter if you're deaf, as long as that body banging.
A woman in Slovakia helped arrest a man robbing a gas station by performing oral sex on him until police arrived. The woman was able to stall him for that long by being terrible at it.
The bat used by Babe Ruth to hit his 500th home run was auctioned off this week. Also, I'll be auctioning off the bat I use to keep my neighborhood white. A substitute teacher in North Carolina has resigned after she reportedly told a class of elementary students that Martin Luther King Jr. killed himself. In her defense, he is the one who decided to keep running his mouth. Why? You're gonna get me murdered. For the first time in 146 years, it has not snowed in Chicago during the months of January and February, or all the snowflakes were shot before they reached the ground. Well, a new report ranks the New York City subway system as the best in the country. This was according to Masturbating Hobo Monthly. The Association of British Scrabble Players has banned a star player for 3 years after he was caught cheating. In response, the player has released this statement. A Massachusetts couple whose son was born during the Super Bowl has named him Brady, while an Atlanta couple whose son was born during the Super Bowl has named him Son of a Bitch. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos claims he was blackmailed by the publisher of the National Enquirer, which he said threatened to publish semi-nude selfies of him. And if you're curious about what Bezos' penis looks like, here's an exclusive preview. The makers of Pokemon Go are now developing a similar game based on the world of Harry Potter. The game will be called Harry Potter and the Kids Who Wandered into Oncoming Traffic. I swear to God, when I clicked on this story and the page was loading, I thought the top of Jeff Bezos' head was the top of his penis. Dick's Sporting Goods is opening a new experiential store with a rock climbing wall, sports fields, and an indoor wellness space. Unfortunately, they're calling it Hands-on Dick's. A family in Australia has discovered what is believed to be the world's oldest message in a bottle, which was thrown into the sea over 130 years ago by a then middle-aged Bernie Sanders. Researchers in Hong Kong are reporting the first ever case of a human contracting rat hepatitis. Worse, now that guy has to call and inform every rat he's ever slept with. It was reported that Jennifer Lopez is now dating Alex Rodriguez. J-Lo and A-Rod go by the cool celebrity couple name of, you guessed it, Alenafix Lodripez. For the second year in a row, the happiest city in the country is Naples, Florida, while the least happy city is once again Puppy Funeral, Minnesota. The house where Lizzie Borden murdered her parents has been sold for $2 million and will be turned into a bed and breakfast. Though a bed and breakfast where a murder happened is pretty much just a day's in. President Trump began his speech with his tie crooked in his jacket, while Mike Pence's tie was so straight it makes me suspicious. LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling was banned for life this week by the NBA for making a series of racist remarks, after which I'm guessing he made a few more. A woman in Chicago was scammed out of more than $11,000 by a Bruce Springsteen impersonator she met online. Now, these scams can be tricky, but one way to tell that someone is not the real Bruce Springsteen is that he asks to borrow $11,000. Apple has announced that it will add hundreds of new emojis to its iOS system, including a person at a spa, a vomiting face, and a shushing finger, finally giving emoji fans the ability to describe what it was like to work for Harvey Weinstein. Weinstein, who's been accused of multiple counts of sexual assault, is reportedly going to Europe for sex rehab. Somehow, I don't think that's going to help anybody. He doesn't need sex rehab. He needs a specialized facility where there are no women, no contact with the outside world, metal bars, and it's a prison. How is no one keeping track of how many guns people own? There is a real law in Texas that says it's illegal to own more than 6 dildos. And I get why. No one needs that many. If you have more than 6 dildos, it's a clear sign you are training for something awful.
I mean,
A new investigation has revealed that Subway's chicken contains only about 50% chicken DNA, though that's pretty much best case scenario for a DNA swab at Subway.
That's a harsh joke, Colin.
A man in China accidentally unearthed a 700-year-old figurine after he pulled over to the side of the road to relieve himself and discovered he was urinating on the object. It's a story the man loves to tell most when people are holding the figurine.
And well, we're still 5 weeks away from Easter, but earlier tonight, a man came back from the dead.
A British songwriter is suing U2, claiming that the band stole one of his songs. Though I don't like the songwriter's chances because his lawyer is working pro bono.
He insisted on telling that.
Military officials have announced that they will increase missions to train, advise, and assist troops in the African nation of Niger. The focus on Niger is viewed as a direct challenge to President Trump's autocorrect. It was reported that Yahoo and AOL will combine to form a new company because no one wants to die alone. The co-founder of the Waffle House passed away this week at the age of 97. He died the way so many Waffle House patrons have, a knife fight in the parking lot. Vice President Joe Biden revealed this week he uses Men's Clinique to keep his skin smooth, while John Boehner revealed he uses Weather Beater deck stain.
No matter how loud I scream and shout, no one can save me now. Commanding fear and doubt inside my mind. Inside my mind.
Democrats are now calling for Northam to resign, but the second in line is embroiled in now 2 sexual assault scandals, and the third in line also did blackface. So at this point, maybe Virginia should take a cue from the Oscars and just go without a governor this year. You know? Or they could just come full circle and make it Governor Kevin Hart.
I don't know if you guys were following the news today, but a space rocket that was spinning out of control just minutes ago crashed into the ocean. And for once, we know it's not Elon's fault. A lot of people have been wondering, why is he hosting our show? And now we know it's because he needed an alibi.
Officials in England say that over $60 million worth of cocaine washed up on a beach. For reference, here's what $60 million worth of washed up cocaine looks like.
And Hillary Clinton has announced that she's starting a podcast. And, okay, now I do think we should lock her up.
An American woman set a new record by visiting every country in the world in 19 months. And after all that travel, she found the one thing that had been inside her all along: Zika. Burger King has introduced a Halloween-themed burger that has a black bun. Oh, sure, but when I turn black for Halloween, I'm setting back race relations. Authorities in Arizona spent nearly 2 hours chasing a pair of llamas through the streets after they escaped from a petting zoo. But thankfully, this story has a happy ending. No one was hurt, and the llamas were safely returned to their prison of unwanted touching. Well, guys, hi. This was pretty crazy, but look, it's not the end of the world, okay? Because this is the end of the world. That's right, scientists basically published an obituary for the Earth this week, and people were like, yeah, but like, what does Taylor Swift think about it? American Apparel wants to stop using what they call Instagram hoes for their ads and instead hire professional models. But good news, they're still going to make them up to look like they've been kidnapped by human traffickers. Because when I see ads for American Apparel, I don't want to buy clothes. I want to see those women rescued by Liam Neeson.
During opening day at Chicago's Wrigley Field, lines for the bathrooms were so long that fans resorted to urinating in cups, a move Chicagoans are calling, "Hey, free beer," and "Oh, no."
A woman in Utah survived after her SUV got stuck in the snow and mud for nearly a week. The woman says she couldn't have made it without her children, her delicious, delicious children.
Many observers said that President Trump looked bored, but I think he was just getting an idea. He was thinking, wait, before this whole Mueller report comes out, I could just fake my own death and escape to the last place anyone would ever look for me, Mexico. And you know Trump will be the first guy to ever fake his own death via tweet. Interesting fact, Gritty was actually the first mascot ever based on the crayon drawings of a 5-year-old who saw his parents murdered. The New York Times also published a report accusing the Trump family of cheating the government out of $500 million in taxes. Personally, I think the IRS should just seize all the money the Trump family hid and give it to Puerto Rico. Or better yet, they could make Trump's biggest nightmare come true and let a bunch of Puerto Ricans come live in his buildings.
I begged you not to do that. The author who wrote children's books under the name Lemony Snicket announced that he is donating $1 million to Planned Parenthood. It's an amount that will cover a whole series of unfortunate events. Besides, listen, Colin Kaepernick is not the only one trying to raise awareness during a football game for a sad cause. They're turning the uniforms pink for breast cancer tomorrow, and nobody's upset about that. I bet if the police went around shooting unarmed boobies, everybody would take a knee. It was only twice. It's important to note that this deal is not a treaty and won't be put into writing until June. But when it comes to preventing a nuclear holocaust, the last thing I want to hear is, "Don't worry, I got it all up here."
Then last night, Trump apologized the way a drunk ex would at midnight on Facebook.
He said that Bill Clinton has told him much worse on the golf course, which might be true, but you know Bill Clinton said it way smoother than that.
Mitt Romney announced Friday that he would not be running in the 2016 presidential race. To which Republicans responded, "No, please, no." Okay. It looks like she's like cool on safari, you know, but don't. It's Disneyland. It's Disneyland. This is also about Disney. This is what she texted me. Disneyland having trouble with the measles. Maybe they should rebrand it as Mousepox, then show Mickey with spots. On serious note, this is why vaccination is so important.
Duke beat Wisconsin 68-63 to win the NCAA championship. Afterwards, disappointed Wisconsin students took to the streets to riot the only way white people know how, without consequences. You lucky bastards. Researchers have announced they have found the strongest evidence yet of flowing water on Mars. Sadly, all the fountains had signs that read, "Greens only." Got a long way to go on that planet, too.
And you know this isn't even the worst thing he's ever said. This is just the worst thing he said to Billy Bush while mic'd on an Access Hollywood bus.
The most telling thing Trump said was, "They'll let you do anything because you're a celebrity." So you're literally explaining your entitlement.
Mitt Romney is reportedly considering running for president in 2016. In a related story, Charlie Brown is planning on finally kicking that football.
I mean, we're sharing a bed together, and conservatives are all sprawled out in the middle while liberals are on the edge, passive-aggressively tweeting. If we want this relationship to work, we got to cuddle, man. We got to talk, get familiar. You can't just wait until you're in desperate need of attention and then poke her in the back with your penis and ask, "You sleep?" It's just true. Anytime my friends come back from vacation, they tell me two things: what they ate and who they had sex with. And I'm scared. I'm scared that soon Earth is going to be alien Thailand. where strange alien businessmen make us do weird tricks with ping pong balls. I don't got the hips for that, Colin. This week, Colin Joe spent 3 days in his dressing room crying like a bitch.
Then I found out the Mets lost.
People Magazine's sexiest man alive is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Yeah. He once again beat his longtime rival, Dwayne "The Scissors" Johnson. I am so proud of that joke, by the way. But you listen to him anyway, and you should, because he's got that loud, sticky, icky oil. Ain't easy to find. The New Jersey Governor Chris Christie has filed paperwork to form a political action committee, which is step 1 toward a possible presidential campaign. However, Christie maintains at step 0 on his Fitbit. Karen, the accountant, begged me not to tell that joke. How could any guy even be against birth control if it means better sex and no kids? We don't even get any of the side effects. Women do, and they're fine with it. Honestly, I don't know how we're getting away with this. It knocks their entire chemistry out of whack. Women are basically putting their bodies through global warming just so I can keep pretending to have a latex allergy.
Well, guys, we were off for a month, but conveniently, so was the government. President Trump, the man who said he would own the shutdown, clearly does not care about the people who are working unpaid, who can't afford basic things like food. But why would he care? He's a billionaire who controls all the hamburgers in the world. Facebook has introduced a new feature allowing people to connect with someone they have a secret crush on. To learn more, watch a future episode of Dateline called The Facebook Murders.
Robots are even taking the jobs that we thought we'd never lose. Like laid-off factory workers became truck drivers because those trucks ain't gonna drive themselves. Well, guess what? In about 2 years, those trucks are gonna start driving themselves. And white people freaking out over nothing news. A mall...
In 2013, Putin awarded Tillerson the Order of Friendship, which is one of the highest honors Russia gives to foreigners. In fact, the only higher honor Russia can give you is President of the United States. Insiders are saying that the Obama administration is extremely upset that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu plans to ask Congress for additional sanctions against Iran, saying that he will, quote, pay a price, which brings the number of countries that have threatened Israel up to an even all of them.
I don't think there's ever been two more unlikable candidates. Not one time in this election have I heard anyone say, you know what, I like them both.
And Donald Trump is now the oldest person ever elected president and has never held a job in government. If you're 70 and you have no experience, you couldn't get hired at Target.
Police in North Carolina say that a 12-pound package of marijuana washed up on a beach. For some perspective, this is what a 12-pound package of marijuana looks like.
When you looked at that horrible woman last night, she would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
Wow. That wouldn't be my first choice for a defense. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, clarified the meaning of the common chant, "Death to America," saying that it does not mean death to America, but instead refers to America's policies. You know, sort of how, like, the people outside are chanting, "Dump Trump," but they really just mean, what are his ideas on health care? At the Republican debate, Senator Marco Rubio called for a return to vocational training, saying that we need, quote, less philosophers and more welders. But I don't know, I think maybe we need less presidential candidates and more working senators. It was reported that Sam Smith has agreed to pay Tom Petty royalties for his hit song Stay With Me due to its resemblance to Petty's song I Won't Back Down, while Petty has agreed to pay royalties to Disney due to his resemblance to Jiminy Cricket.
That's a fun joke.
Well, a new survey ranks the Boston accent as one of the sexiest accents in America. But keep in mind, the survey was conducted by Catastrophic Hearing Loss magazine. Conservatives are upset over a new episode of the PBS children's cartoon Arthur, in which Arthur's teacher is revealed to be gay. Meanwhile, no one seems to care that Peppa Pig's head is a full-on penis. An obese monkey in Thailand named Godzilla has been sent to a special facility to lose weight. Officials realized the monkey was overweight when a bunch of black guys kept hitting on it.
That's pretty racist, Colin.
Warner Brothers is producing a new movie in which Superman is black. And a black Superman actually makes a lot of sense when you remember that Superman was abandoned by his parents as a baby. Well, I knew you'd like that one, so here's another one. Warner Brothers is producing a new movie in which Superman is black. In this version, black Superman's kryptonite is an honest day's work.
Okay. Whoa.
This week, construction began on a new hip-hop museum in the Bronx. And I know that we've had a lot of fun with me reading racist jokes that Michael writes for me. But because our country is already divided enough, I'd like to use my platform to say something that everyone of all races can agree on. Woody Allen is innocent. He did nothing wrong. And before I go, I just thought of another punchline for that black Superman story. Black Superman will be referred to as the Man of Steel, spelled S-T-E-A-L. The location of Sex Island, that's a terrible transition. I didn't know that was going to be back-to-back. That's not, it's a weird badge to get. The location of Sex Island, which is a 4-day drug-fueled event featuring prostitutes and an exclusive resort, has been revealed to be an island off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. This, according to the plane ticket I saw in Shay's hand. Okay. A church in Massachusetts has created a nativity scene that comments on the immigration debate by placing the baby Jesus in a cage, where he belongs. Oh, God. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, for the first time, denied months-old rumors that he had died and been replaced by a look-alike from Sudan. See, even Africans can't tell black people apart. This is on cards. I want to switch it up a little. Shay didn't write this one. This is all me.
I like to hear this.
Last week was National Rosa Parks Day, or as we call it in my house, Uppity Bus Passenger Day. Many doctors are saying that they have a hard time convincing their black patients to agree to take the COVID vaccine. Well, maybe they should try telling them it makes you immune from paying child support.
Whoa. Fun.
This week marks the 65th anniversary of Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat on an Alabama bus. And I just wish that all black people could follow her example of sitting down and shutting up. Oh, God. It was announced that Creed singer Scott Stapp will play Frank Sinatra in an upcoming movie. But the good news is Sammy Davis Jr. will be played by Scarlett Johansson. Recent polls show that Pete Buttigieg has only 4% support among African Americans. But that'll change once Pete announces his running mate, the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
That's terrible, man.
The bat used by Babe Ruth to hit his 500th home run was auctioned off this week. Also, I'll be auctioning off the bat I used to keep my neighborhood white. Okay, I'm already so worried. Okay, it says, okay, timeout. I refuse to read this last joke, not because it's racist, but because there's a black man holding my cue card. It says I can't work like this, so Merry Christmas, homeboy, you're fired.
Fired the man on Christmas college.
A student in Texas, who is nicknamed White Lightning, set a high school record by running the 100-meter dash in 9.98 seconds. Coincidentally, people call me White Lightning because I also finish in under 10 seconds. A new report finds that as people move into formerly wild areas of Africa, human activity is disrupting chimpanzee culture. Incidentally, chimpanzee culture is also what my grandpa calls hip-hop. Why?
I think
The grandpa.
this will be good.
Yeah, sure. A substitute teacher in North Carolina has resigned after she reportedly told a class of elementary students that Martin Luther King Jr. killed himself. In her defense, he is the one who decided to keep running his mouth. Why? You're going to get me murdered.
Officials at Columbia University complained that protesters broke windows and destroyed school property. But so what? College kids also do that when they win the Final Four. Also, you're a university. If you really don't want students to freak out, stop telling them the truth. That's my advice for school and relationships.
It's a nice place. At a White House ceremony honoring the WNBA champion Las Vegas Aces, President Biden mistakenly called player Candace Parker one of the greatest all-time coaches. Worse, he thought...
Israeli officials are reportedly furious after the U.S. withheld a shipment of weapons. But yes, sometimes people get angry at their intervention. All right, President Biden on Tuesday issued a call to fight hate against anti-Semitism, saying there is no place for it in America. But on the other hand, Collins Country Club with them. But that's not true. What about all those cops?
Oh my God! A group of geneticists have announced plans to bring back the dodo and reintroduce it to Africa. And if you ask me, I can think of at least one dodo I'd like to reintroduce to Africa. Former President Donald Trump, seen here definitely not sleeping. He's probably just praying. Former President Trump, for the first time in his trial, wrote a message on a yellow Post-it note and handed it to his lawyer while he was making an argument. The Post-it read simply, "Can't pay you."
Iowa's Final Four game against UConn was the most watched women's college basketball game ever, with 14.2 million viewers, beating the previous record by 14.2 million viewers. On X, I offered to eat 5 more brainworms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate, which is such an insane thing to probably be right about.
A museum in France is using an AI-generated version of Vincent van Gogh to answer visitors' questions about his paintings. Unfortunately, the AI keeps responding to questions with, "What?"
Melania Trump made a rare public appearance when she attended the funeral of former First Lady Rosalind Carter, who died at the age of 96. Melania said that she was deeply saddened to be reminded that your partner can live that long. Elon Musk met with Benjamin Netanyahu this week and agreed that Israel must destroy Hamas. And I think Musk could destroy Hamas almost instantly by becoming their CEO.
A United Airlines flight from Germany was forced to return to the airport after the toilet broke and leaked into the cabin. Though it's the perfect punishment for people who take their shoes off on planes. Primate expert Jane Goodall celebrated her 90th birthday by gathering together with 90 dogs, then feeding them all to her apes.
Weather experts are forecasting that this year will see the highest number of hurricanes ever, thanks to an abnormally active summer of gay weddings. A stone vial discovered in Iran contained a red cosmetic that experts say was likely used as lipstick nearly 4,000 years ago by an ancient skank. A doctor from Singapore has gone viral with a video telling people that they can get relief from constipation by sitting on the toilet cross-legged. So that's what they mean when they say crisscross applesauce. I get it now.
Oh, no. A new census report shows that by the end of the year 2060, 1 out of every 4 Americans will be Latino. That's how good Bad Bunny's music. Hey, Jill, if you're here, who's...
This week, China and the U.S. reached a historic agreement to cut carbon emissions. The leader of ISIS may have been killed in an airstrike, and a spacecraft landed on a comet 300 million miles away. But that ass, though. A New Hampshire man was arrested for child endangerment after he left his twin 9-year-old nephews home alone for days at a time. Said one of the twins, "We used to be triplets."
According to a new study, teenage boys are just as vicious as teenage girls when it comes to rumors and making nasty comments. The study was conducted by my high school yearbook photo. A debate has renewed in the Netherlands this week over the country's Christmas tradition of Black Peter, who is a black-faced assistant to white St. Nicholas. I don't know how the debate turned out, because once I Googled the words Black Peter, work took away my internet. A Pennsylvania college student has made a fully functional Batman costume that can withstand punches, machetes, and baseball bats. He's just like the real Batman, except his parents only wish they were dead.
Police in New Jersey are searching for an African gray parrot that was stolen from a local zoo. Of course, in New Jersey, an African gray parrot is just a pigeon in a dashiki. According to a new study of fossils, the act of sex used by humans was pioneered by an ancient armored fish called placoderms about 385 million years ago. But it wasn't perfected until last night by your mama.
Officials have begun screening for Ebola at New York's JFK Airport for all travelers arriving from West Africa. They're focusing on JFK because not even Ebola would go to LaGuardia.
A writer for Orange is the New Black said that working on the show made her realize that she was gay, while watching what goes on in that woman's prison reminded me that I am not. New York's famed Carnegie Deli has introduced a new sandwich featuring a massive tower of turkey and bacon, which they call the Derek Jeter Triple Club. They named it Fajita because after you eat it, you'll take a legendary number 2. The NFL is investigating claims that the New England Patriots deflated game balls before their AFC Championship win. Man, that Bill Belichick always has a trick up his nose sleeves. The Patriots, of course, denied the cheating accusations, saying the only deflated balls they have are because of steroids. In a recent interview, Texas Governor Rick Perry said that running for the presidency is not an IQ test. Of course it's not an IQ test, and it's also not a lie detector test, or an ethics test, or a foot race. The Girl Scouts have announced that for the first time their cookies will be available for sale on the internet. The way it works is you contact the Girl Scout on the internet, and then cookies are waiting for you in prison.
Mexican officials are upset with Pope Francis after he said he was concerned about the increased drug trafficking in his native Argentina, calling it Mexicanization. Pope Francis later apologized, calling his comment, quote, as dumb as a Guatemalan. A theme park in England has banned all single people from entering the park to protect children from possible pedophiles. So let this be a lesson to all you pedophiles out there. Start working in teams. A nurse in New Jersey won a Lay's potato chip contest by creating the new flavor of wasabi ginger, which sounds less like a chip flavor and more like something Joe Biden would accidentally call the Chinese ambassador.
A new restaurant is opening in Philadelphia that will pay its waiters $13 an hour, but will not allow customers to tip them. The no tipping policy has been in effect for years among its black customers. I'm kidding, that's a myth. Black people tip. I tip like 65% of the time. Hillary Clinton recently fueled speculation that she may run for president when she made an appearance in Iowa and said, "Hello, Iowa, I'm back." Though, if I remember 2008 correctly, that's not as effective as saying, "Hello, Iowa, I'm black."
A British cafe has introduced a new breakfast called the Hibernator, which is 8,000 calories and contains bacon, sausage, cheese omelets, waffles, toast, black pudding, and beans. And if you're able to finish the entire thing, they'll even make a plaque with your name on it.
One minute we hug, next minute we barely even hold conversations fine with me. I was born a savage, I can take the damage. Something's weighing heavy, created too much pressure.
A shepherd in Germany has discovered a rare geep, which is a sheep-goat hybrid. It's believed to be the first sheep-goat hybrid to be discovered since Kid Rock. Buddy Valastro, the star of the reality show Cake Boss, was arrested in Manhattan on charges of drunk driving and allegedly told officers, "You can't arrest me, I'm the Cake Boss." Which might have worked if those officers were cakes.
According to an annual ranking by Orkin Pest Control, the places in America with the worst bedbug problems are Chicago, Detroit, and your mama. For the first time in 5 years, the price of oil fell below $60 a barrel, which is so low that it's also a pretty good deal on barrels. According to a new study, marijuana is the safest recreational drug people can use. Huh, interesting, said a million black dudes in jail for marijuana.
TLC has canceled the reality show Here Comes Honey Boo Boo after it was reported that Mama June is dating a convicted sex offender, even though convicted sex offender is the show's key demographic. A new study shows that Beaumont, Texas is the least educated city in the country. Oh man, wait until they don't read about this.
In other news, a major power outage struck Detroit this week, leaving roughly 100 buildings without power. The problem will be fixed once someone in Detroit notices the difference.
And President Obama urged Americans to spread the word and check their insurance options on healthcare.gov. Except they can't because someone broke the internet. Okay, I promise that was the last one.
But that ass, though. It was revealed that Tyler Perry is expecting his first child with his girlfriend. Perry is reported to be very excited about being a grandmother.
Ireland's Minister of Health this week announced that he is gay, becoming the first openly gay government figure in Irish history. Of course, in Ireland, gay just means you have less than 8 kids. Sony was hit by another cyber attack this week, which took its PlayStation Network offline for hours, giving gamers a chance to finally go outside and get some fresh weed.
Scientists say that when people French kiss, they transfer over 80 million bacteria. This according to a recent study conducted on your mama.
A Delaware woman was arrested after her 4-year-old daughter found packets of heroin in her bag, then passed them out to the other children in her daycare class. But on the bright side, those kids are now fantastic blues musicians.